The big conversation, and I think this is the big conversation, what are you training the AI on?
Genuinely do not believe there is an amount of money, a percentage, a piece, a whatever that I would, or I think we as a community should accept to allow any company to train their AI, their generative systems or whatever off of our work.
What makes me most scared about that is how good is AI going to get at hiding that? If it's trained off of these songs, eventually it's just going to get better and better at hiding those influences that it's been trained off of. So I got so many friends that were popping, dog, back in the day, and they got, bro, I've seen, they're at 9 to 5s, no shade to 9 to 5s, but man, these people were my heroes. You understand what I'm saying? What we had, and I seen a technology come in and just obliterate an entire people. I tried out thermal. I'm not gonna lie. Trash. No. Trash.
Yeah,
No.
you're bugging.
No.
Can I be honest? With all due respect,
Can I tell you what to me the better plugin is
ahead.
in that same bundle?
Go ahead.
Movement.
wrong.
Movement is dope.
You're wrong.
I love Movement way better
You're
than
wrong.
Portal.
I'm not even giving you the opinion to get that off. Thermal is the.
bro.
I would not only say
Oh,
is the.
my fault. Not Thermal. Portal.
Oh,
Portal.
Okay.
Portal. Agreed.
Portal.
Okay.
You ain't
Okay.
never lie. You preaching to the choir.
said,
With
hey,
all due respect,
agreed.
my
Yeah,
hot
facts.
take is Thermal is the only effect
the best
plugin
one.
from them
That's the best
worth
one.
buying.
Thermal
Yeah.
is fire. I've recently started using Movement back a lot more.
Yeah.
And then two, I'll say Portal is
Yeah.
my least used one of them. I'll be
I-
super
Portal,
honest.
like-
I understand.
I'm not gonna lie. With all due respect, sound like a guy that don't got gross beat using Movement.
No, that's not what it's. All right, that's not why. That's not why. And I have what's the gross beat alternative?
Not gross beat.
Halftime. I have halftime.
You tried the
I have
Akai
it.
thing?
What
Akai
thing?
flex beat?
No, I never tried that.
Fake gross beat.
Okay, I use Movement.
Shout out Eddie Mack and everybody at Akai.
Type.
I'm hating.
Type. I like Movement for creating like pulsing, creating movement. Right, corny, right? Anytime I got like a guitar sample or some type of piano sample or some sample, what I'll do is sometimes recently I've been using Movement to basically like create like just a different feeling for it, like where I can get like a 16th pulse or kind of like this weird. It's actually cool for that. I just go through the presets. I'll be honest. I'm not going through the synthesis. When it comes to Portal though, Portal is. I'm gonna be honest.
It
Portal
destroys any audio signal you put through it.
Portal. I think
it's
that
confusing.
for what kind of music I make, Portal isn't for me. Like I'm not running to it. The only thing I found myself running to Portal for recently was like, okay, what like where does it work for me is on a vocal. When I'm trying to make a different vocal, like a vocal sound, like a sweetener. Like I did it on an ad lib. And I was like, oh, that was cool. Like I found a few presets that I like there. Other than that, no, I'm
Honestly,
not
you might
using
be right.
Portal like that.
I'm being harsh.
Yeah.
It might not just be for what I make.
I think that
that's
too.
what it is too, right? It's just not for what we
It's a
make.
granular.
Speaking of which.
I think it's like a granular. It's kind of like, you know that section in Omnisphere. Sorry to cut you up. You know that thing in Omnisphere that there's a granular like
granular
thing in Omnisphere, which
Synthesis, yeah.
I think a lot of EDM guys or girls may find use for it. But it's for my genre. I'm not using it a lot. I'm not using it often. That's the truth. Like I'll be honest
Question,
with you.
so output. So
Shout out Output though.
Shout
Love
out
that.
output.
out.
What is this co-producer thing? Because I don't know about it.
You don't know about it? So
Talk about it.
I did. I'm the guy that did a million videos on it so far. So what I say about co-producer is I do see the sentiments in the community, and this is the beautiful thing
What
about.
is it? I just
Okay,
want to
sorry.
hear.
Co-producer is basically, I want to say, in layman's terms, it's basically an aggregator of all of their samples and lines within arcade and things of that nature. So basically, I'm able to say, I want an R&B groovy drum in this key and say find samples. And basically everything in arcade, all their samples and stuff that they have,
ever made.
it gives me everything. But it also gives it to me where it scans the audio that's already in the session and says, we're gonna make sure it matches this particular sound.
So, question.
Right? I know everybody
There
knows it.
isn't no generative.
No,
No. There's nothing.
Yeah. it's not like-
it's not Waves Illusion.
it's from their packs. It's from their
Okay.
stuff.
So
to my knowledge, as of today,
Yes.
from it's from
Everything
their
that already
actual.
pre-exists for output. You tell them I need this, and they find it and give it to you.
Everything it gives me, I can pretty much the logo of the actual arcade like line that it's from is there. Like I'm like, oh, it's from this. I didn't even know this was fire.
Because there have been conversations, Segway King, about this generative AI in the music production space.
Right.
Take it away.
I am not
Take it away.
with it. So, okay, cool. Because I know deep in my heart, the plethora of songs and music that I put out, if I heard that music in someone else's music, it would crush my soul.
Yes.
So the big conversation, and I think this is the big conversation that people, if you know, you know. What are you training the AI on? That's the big.
Can we just bring the elephant in the room?
No. Let's slowly churn
Better
this
than
thing.
me. I be trying to pull the
No.
like tug.
Because you know
pause.
why?
Masters.
Because you know why? I've never been the person that yells.
Yeah.
Right?
Or to put spotlight on no one type shit.
Not even spotlight or no one. I just never been a person that yells. I like to be the person that's like, hey, let's have
what's happening.
a conversation.
Yes.
Right? Calmly. I'm not yelling.
Can I tell you something?
I'm not screaming.
I want to read exactly what I texted Young Guru. All right, so
Okay.
I hate that I'm speeding to it.
Hey, real quick, just had a huge favor that I wanted to ask you, and that is, could you please subscribe to the channel? It would mean so much to the growth of this podcast, as well as ensure that we're able to do more and more cool things on this channel on a weekly basis. So once again, it would mean so much. It would be a huge favor to us, and it would help us so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Okay, now, back to your episode.
But we'll explain the context afterwards. But Young Guru had a conversation with Timbaland revolving around the AI use and just using AI to fully create music or instructing AI or whatever. And this is exactly what I texted him. I said, yo, finally got to catch up on everything, but thank you for genuinely speaking up and having that conversation with Tim. Just the mere fact that you cared enough to open up the dialogue rather than dismiss it and sustain dialogue from a factual and respectful place, even though at times it felt like it wasn't reciprocated the same. It spoke volumes because not only did you speak up loud for what you're passionate about, not just AI, but of course it really felt like he cared about Timbaland as well. But you also communicated your points and debated. You did not argue.
Right.
Because in that, watching that live, at times I would get pissed off. Because at times, like, Timbaland was bringing people in, just, yo, what's up, yada, yada. He was leaving the conversation to go whatever. So at times, I could see how in an argument that would trigger somebody to get more mad. Because, like, oh, you're not hearing me. Guru has this way of wording and speaking and debating that clearly got his point across from a position of care, not a position of power, not a position of you're right or you're wrong and I'm right. And I feel like there was nobody I would rather represent us as a community or us on this side of the community than Guru. So
Flowers.
we could bring flowers, but we could bring the context up.
Sure.
If you want.
I respected, obviously, Guru is
He's
He's a very wise,
He's a very human individual.
Genuine.
He's a very human.
Genuine, bro. He's called me like, yo, you got a second? I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, Guru,
We've
I got
had
a
those
second.
conversations.
Wife, I know we're on a date. I gotta go talk to Guru. I love you, baby. Give me a second. And he's literally just on conversations that
We've had
are
on the
brewing.
pod, yeah.
And to me, I take that as a person that actually genuinely cares, right?
Yeah.
About just the whole community as a whole, right?
He loves it enough to care and to speak about it. Because you could care and not contribute. Like, the industry standard convo was happening, and he called me. He was just like, hey man, we got to talk, though, because Cubase internationally,
right?
like, shit
love,
like that.
Absolutely love him in like flowers to Group. Please,
Yeah.
I hope, you feel that, too, like, from everybody in the community. When it comes to this particular situation, and I guess we're going to refer to the Timbaland situation.
For context.
For context, that's what I'm doing.
Timbaland, earlier this month, he announced that he was starting a new AI label, a new genre called A-pop or whatever he called it, and signing his first AI artist, which wasn't a human. We're assuming that it was running off of the Suno algorithm because he is a partner in Suno, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a board member.
He said he was a partner. That was the wording I've heard. He said he was
a partner with Suno, but I don't know if Suno had much to do with this besides the creative of it and him running the algorithm through Suno, but he was partnering to create this AI label. It stirred a conversation because he signed somebody that wasn't human, and he's been training it. And he's been open about this. He had his AI model called Baby Timbo that he's been training off of a bunch of music to produce like him. But it just stirred a conversation of the dangers of not only him being the first person to I'm not gonna say first person because other people have tried to introduce AI artists, but because of who Timbo is in our community and what he means, it stirred a conversation of just the dangers of us letting that slide in a sense, and accepting that at once, but also how it was being traded, because Timbaland is also very popular for reviewing music a lot on TikTok, and he's been doing it for years. I've got my music reviewed by him, not only directly, but other artists have reviewed like beats I've created, that they've sung on and sent it to Timbaland, stuff like that. So there was the conversation of, was he using our music to train this AI, which he's vehemently denied. And what kind of catapulted this, and I want to get that gentleman's name right, but there was an advertisement that he made for Suno where he was making this beat.
K-Fresh. His name is K-Fresh. Shout out K-Fresh.
Yes.
Sorry. Shout out K-Fresh.
Because he's
legend.
incredible too.
Love K-Fresh is old. K-Fresh, if you watch OD.
But yeah, long story short,
K-Fresh is OD. Fire
the
producer.
beat that was generated by Suno sounded damn near exactly like K-Fresh's beat. It even had his tag, like you could hear it was weirdly switched. And the only thing that changed was really like the drum break. So it not only was very telling of the generative part of this AI was not doing a good job at or really changing the music, but it just that's dangerous. Because imagine if it wasn't K-Fresh, it was somebody that with a super small platform, and we just never know. So it stirred this conversation of people, like rightfully so, very upset with Timbaland. There's people that really support, because they're like, yo, it's going to the music. Who better to do it? It's going towards the future, pardon. Who better to do it than somebody we trust like Timbaland? But on the other side, it's very scary. Like
the one thing I will say, and just to kind of preface everything, Curtis King did sit down with K-Fresh.
Yes.
Thank you, and that was great. That was awesome. I thought that was shout out for Curtis for your platform, bro. It's just I'm so I'm just proud of Curtis King. Like long story short, he sat down with K-Fresh and had a conversation and stuff like that, and it kind of made me put myself in K-Fresh's shoes, right? Where I said to myself, my goodness, man, if I was sitting there and I heard my song being played or just any creative in general, and I'm not being credited for it, or I just can blatantly hear my influences, right? Like blatantly can hear my influences. And I said to myself, man, how would that make me feel? One, do I feel like I deserve, right? Like, do I deserve something for this music that is being put out or streamed and things like that? And so it made me realize, wow, this is really dangerous, because the thing that I've worked so hard to create and things of that nature can be trained on an AI, and then that work can then be distributed to the masses, and it could be a whole nother work that people completely erase what I've actually done because they think this is something new. It made me start to really think about, here's me not even playing devil's advocate, made me say, listen, I am very aware AI is here. It's here. It's not even knocking on the door. It's just in the house right here, right? It exists. And it's made me force myself as an artist to say, how can we make this thing, or how can we create a space that is ethical, right? And two, that doesn't diminish actual real people and their creation in that regard. Because what it is doing, and what I feel like we're headed towards, is and this is what I'm always worried about, the next generation of kids or listeners or lovers of music, it is easy to mold their brains to what the ethics and what's right and what's wrong when it comes to this. Because guess what? There's a generation of people that I've spoken to that say, I can't imagine y'all had to go to the store and pay $20 for an album.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. And to me, when I hear that, I go, my God, what a terrible thought as an artist that was of that era, right? Where Vic Mensa, which broke my heart, to be honest. to see Vic Mensa have the conversation,
Yeah.
and he was crying online, and being very vulnerable. I respect. He was being very vulnerable. He was like, it broke my heart to think to myself that my album is not worth $10 to a human being.
Yeah.
So
and this is a thought process. Like, keep in mind, this is a thought process that, like, as an independent artist, that you're releasing your own work. You think about this, and it's occurring to you as it did with Vic Mensa in the shower, like.
What am I worth?
Just on just like 5 minutes
Can I
of your
rewind a little
24-hour
bit?
day.
I do want to rewind a tad to what you said about the generative part. I think that's the part that scared me the most.
That's what scares
I put
me.
myself in K-Fresh shoes, and I do want to put the other side of this too. I can almost 100%, and people might not want to hear this, but I can almost 100% feel that Timbaland has felt that before, because I don't feel like there's any trend in hip-hop and R&B that has been mimicked more than Timbaland and the Neptune sounds, their individual sounds. At the same time, the difference comes in, if I know you like my song so much that you're mimicking how I'll personalize it. My favorite producer to this day is D-Ma. Right? And you know this. There was a time in my life I just wanted to make beats like D-Ma.
Sure.
So I was playing drums, I was playing whatever, and it was coming from me trying my best before I finally personalized and figured out who the hell I am as a producer. I was like, oh, I need, you know what I mean? The difference is it came from this brain of mine and me growing and me genuinely admiring, and it was more of an imitation in a sense, versus what's scary about that was he typed in a prompt and it spit out something, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It spit out not even a verification, a near identical variation of something that was created. Like his tag
was there.
That's damn near thievery. Because let me put it in a different way. What if it wasn't a computer? If it wasn't a computer, you know what we call that? Sampling or stealing. You know what I mean? And that's what scares me. It was interesting, and what hurt me as a consumer, as a real fan, as somebody who thinks of this musical genius as a hero of mine, was the response. You know what I mean? I think it just came off so tone deaf, because his response was, hey, part of his response, I'm not gonna say his full response was, because I did not get a chance to see the entire live, but Ghostface Killer liked the beat. And Timbaland said, hey, Ghostface hit me about the beat. So, hey, if K-Fresh is listening, send me the beat so we could get it to Ghostface. It was like, that's... Because without me, how I took it was, without him, Timbaland is saying Ghostface wouldn't have heard the beat to get on it, and that's a big placement to somebody. But it's
Absolutely, I agree with you.
That's not the point, King. And that's not how you move in that situation. I don't know, man.
This episode is supported by Colossal, and today we're excited to tell you about Drops, their brand new product for producers and beat makers. When selling beats and collaborating with artists online, us producers are jumping around to different apps. File sharing, emails, DMs, and payments, and it can get really overwhelming to stay on top of it all. This is where Drops by Colossal comes in. It brings together all the essential tools and simplifies the whole beat buying and selling experience. Creating a drop is super fast. Just upload your beat to Colossal and you get a unique drop link that you can share with artists in DMs on your socials. Drop is one of the best experiences that you as a producer can give to an artist that you work with. It looks amazing. An artist can buy a license in seconds. And when you sell a beat, you instantly get paid to your PayPal account. Drops is free to use with no subscription fees and available right now. Sign up at colossal.fm/producers to get started. One thing about anything new in the industry, or just anything new in life, man, is what I've come to the conclusion, just me personally, is when I see something new on the horizon, something I feel like is inevitable, right? Mm-hmm. I say to myself, okay, ask yourself the question, what are the pros and cons of this? Who's going to hurt? Because I'm going to be honest with you, with every technological advance, someone gets punched in the face.
Someone gets left behind.
There was a great person said once, I'm so sorry if I'm misquoting the person or not quoting the person, I forgot what their name is, but they said something that, there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs, right? And I say to myself, okay, well, with this newfound technology and stuff, who hurts? And I say to myself, human creators, right? We hurt, right, when it comes to this stuff. So with that in mind, I think about these apps like Suno, which I was all for, in a sense of like, yo, this is exciting. Like, what is this? Like, I want to try this. But when you start to see the aftermath and the damage, and you start to see, whoa, I'm listening to K Fresh's and his. I'm like, wait, this is not creative. It didn't like. I think that also where the level of AI is when it comes to music. I think there's also a misconception in thinking how amazing it is. Right? It is amazing, but I just don't see and realizing after seeing that, like, yo, this thing is not really that creative.
We're still in the era of like, yo, like
Make sure
the teacher don't understand that like we did this together or like you copied off of my work. Type
Or
shit.
make it your own, right? It seemed like it just has no personality, and it didn't really make it at all. When I listened to that difference between the K Fresh one and that one, I said to myself, yo, dog, it's the same thing. Like any human can listen and go, dog, you changed a few things maybe in the bars and in a few measures, like maybe a few things.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was like, yo, that's the same thing. And I feel like AI, when it comes to music so far today, can't discern, hey man, you took damn near the entire progression and you took the drum pattern, like everything was the same. So in my head, I'm scared about it. Let me just say this last part. What makes me most scared about that is how good is AI gonna get at hiding that? You understand what I'm saying? Because if it's trained off of these songs, eventually it's just gonna get better and better at hiding those influences that it's been trained off of. So that's why I think that's to me, the basis of this conversation is the legalities of, we have to really get on top of how these AI models are trained, especially in music with intellectual property.
Here's my take. ISO.
Oh damn, we ain't do that in that long.
ISO.
Dumb long.
My take is, and I think my favorite response has been, I heard Russ speak about it on Apple Music. So I'm gonna partially go in and out of what he said, combined with what I said. My biggest response is to the biggest excuse I'm gonna use. This is the word I'm gonna use. Excuse of why this should be okay is AI is a tool. You guys are looking at it as a replacement. It's really a tool. The fact of the matter is, in music, in film, in cooking, in building cars, tools don't create. Tools help create, but tools do not create. And this is the first time in my lifetime I'm seeing a tool that is literally create. Every other thing that we've said is a tool. Auto-tune, it's a tool. It's not replacing singers, it's helping singers sing. We've never seen a tool create, and the way Russ said it, and I don't know if Timbaland's responded to it, but I really like his response. He said, Tim, it seems like, was looking for, is one or the other. It's either he's looking for, I'm gonna paraphrase because I don't remember exactly, but it's almost choosing, replacing collaboration with control.
Yeah.
It's replacing collaboration with compliance in a sense. Make me this. Why? Because with a human creator, you're gonna bump your head. There's gonna be issues. There's gonna be, you know what I mean? It's not fully gonna be what you want it to be. Of course, you're incorporating these mistakes, but these mistakes is what makes us human. These mistakes is what makes the journey the actual reward. You know what I mean? But when you prioritize, which was what it feels like, is prioritizing compliance. You're not dealing with that, and is getting you quick to that place quicker. And from Timbaland's tone and some of the things he has said, it feels like the reason why he likes AI is, I mean, he said it like, I don't have to deal with y'all this. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with this. And that control also comes with, of course, keeping the publishing. Of course, this, that is either that, or another theory is you see this next big thing and you're hopping on the wave. Why? Because, of course, we know AI is the future. Like, there's no sector I can think in the entertainment industry where AI doesn't have something to do with any field, in any medical, whatever.
I use it.
So it's like, you know what? I'm damn near a for lack of a better term, a god in this space. Let me get ahead of it. I'm gonna be the face. You know, when people think of AI 50 years from now, Timbaland was the first one to accept it. The same way Ninth is the first person to bring FL and make, you know what I mean, not care that the MPC producers were looking at him this way. And you know what I mean? And I feel like regardless of what it is, I feel like it's super dangerous. Or I'm gonna say this. I would have wished that he instead of either of those being the case, challenged its appropriateness for creating art.
Sure.
because I don't know. I feel like regardless of what legal take whatever compensation, whatever, all right, any AI company must pay the group of writer, BMI and ASCAP, whatever, this amount, or the labels this amount. I feel like we're going to keep running into, we're stepping into a very dangerous place. And I feel like that generative AI is so dangerous. And I don't know if we know what we're biting off. You know what I mean?
I agree with him so much.
In any aspect, in art, the fact that I can I tell you what I used the other day, and it made me say, what the hell? And I didn't do it. It was just like me checking it out. You guys know I don't update my computer for nothing. I'm still on Mac OS 10, like I'm not, or 11. I'm not updating it, but I finally updated my Adobe from Photoshop 2022 to 2025, and that generative thing. Where I had a cropped photo, and I said, fill it, because I was trying to make a banner. Right. So I was like, fill each side of this 16:9 picture. Yeah,
for sure. Boy, I'll tell you this. Shout out my boy Johnny. Scary. Shout out all my graphic artists out there. First off, shout out all my graphic artist friends. I speak to a lot of my graphic artist friends, and obviously being an artist, right? Here's what's been happening, and I never thought I would get a chance to say this out loud on this podcast because we're so on a technical side. This is technical, but this is something that really always gets lost. And I feel like only people, I'm gonna talk from a place of experience, if that makes any sense. Years ago, the independent music scene was booming. It was, to me, in my opinion, the golden era. I was right in the middle of it, where I truly did not need to sign to a label to make the best living ever, to provide for my family, and to just tour and to just have a good life. When streaming came about, it diluted so slowly, a slow drip, and then extremely fast. It diluted the value of my music, of a lot of independent music musicians. Slowly, I started to see a lot of my friends die off, because we could no longer afford to fund those amazing albums that were independent anymore. Producers at the same time, and this is no shade to producers at all, I understand, I'm just saying what happened. Producers at the same time also wanted to make more money from these records. Super understand that. And so they also started on the independent scene to up their fees as far as the points on the records. Also, a lot of us were paying producers in upfront as well. So the way it would work is, a producer would say, yo, my beat is $2,000, and then I want 4 points. That right there for a lot of indie people was pretty normal. Like $2,000 up front, 4% on the back end as far as
50% publishing.
And 50% pub, right. That was like the standard, like a nice little standard deal for a producer. And the producer could do that, wash, rinse, and repeat, and go crazy and make money. Depending on if you're just independent. I'm speaking for only independent. What started to happen was, I would put in $30,000 for my album, meaning I would buy all the beats. So that means $2,000 a beat. I was paying $2,000 a beat. Yes, I was paying $2,000 a beat. You know why I was paying $2,000 a beat? Because I knew I was going to recoup that in the first week. I knew that all I needed to do was sell a couple thousand albums, and I was going to recoup that plus more. So I would keep putting money into my albums. I could put more money into my albums, make doper shit, like $1,800 a beat. When streaming got introduced, my recoup was far less. I'm talking about like maybe not even a tenth, maybe less than a tenth of what the first week sales were. I'd be lucky if I made a couple $100 in the first week. Even if I got millions of streams, right? It would take me so long to pay that producer back. So what do we have to do?
By the way, for context, this guy was like charting first week.
I had Billboard.
Like,
I was
top 10
Billboard albums, like, for sure.
Week,
independently,
no label.
Independent me, good living. If I dropped 2 albums, I was rich to me. Yeah. I was rich if I decided to drop 2 albums. Had a good life.
Boy, that collab album, y'all split in half and it still was eating.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was a 50-50 album. We was top 10 Billboard, rap albums, coast to coast, whatever. What happened was, as I continued to go down the line and start to put albums together, now I wasn't making as much. So what I had to do was, I said, yo, producer, can we do $400 a beat? And I'll up the percentage on the master, where I'm like, now I'm giving producers,
15,
now
yeah.
I was giving producers like 15% of the master and 400 upfront to recoup, because I said to myself, yo, the money's not there. It's not generating the money. I would have to go on tour in order to make this make sense. Now, who also suffers? The graphic artists. They suffer too. Because now I can't afford to. I paid $1,000 for artwork one time. That may not be a lot to some people, but as an independent artist, that was me being dead. I was like, I'm serious about this shit. Paying $1,000 for artwork. My front cover was $800, whatever. I couldn't afford to give the graphic artist that either.
And can I loop this in? I'm sorry if you're not done.
I'm not. Let me thank you. What I'm saying is, a new technology came in, and there was no one to save artists. There was nothing to save us. We just had to figure out how to work around it. So again, and I almost get emotional.
And the artists were consumers. So as consumers, we traded in paying so much money for music in exchange for, all right, we'll give you this $10, give us everything.
Let me say this, man. If it weren't for, I get scared every time I think about it. If it wasn't for other businesses and other things I had in my life, when I look at how much money I make from music compared to what I did before, I get so scared and I go, God, thank you so much for allowing me to have skills and just understand business and understand how to invest my money from those times, because I would be, fucking homeless if it wasn't for just knowing how to navigate spaces and how to do business and stuff like that. I got so many friends that were popping, dog, back in the day, and they got, bro, I've seen, they're at 9 to 5s, no shade to 9 to 5s, but man, these people were my heroes. You understand what I'm saying?
What y'all have.
What we had. And I seen a technology come in and just obliterate an entire people. You understand? Entire creative force, bro. I don't care what nobody say. If you was around for those times in the like 2014, 2000, Chance the Rap, all these amazing projects came out, and it was ours. Major labels couldn't compete. The creativeness of indie artists at the time was amazing. So I say today, right? When I look at AI, I say, oh my gosh.
Specifically generative AI.
Generative AI. Right. I go, oh my gosh, here we go again. In a sense of how much more songs are now going to be uploaded into Spotify. It's going to dilute the pool of music even more, and it scares the living shit out of me, because I say now you have the ability to take even my songs from what I worked hard for, investing $30,000, $50,000 in, and now just make it something, and it's even worth less because it's being taken and trained on it and diluted even more. Music is gonna get diluted even more, because guess what? If my mom can go and say generate song and upload and say at least I can make like $10 a month, cool. Like I can, like that's where we're headed. So in my heart, I'm scared about it, and I ask to all the platforms that are AI and stuff like that. As far as what you're training this stuff on, I think that's what I feel like a lot of it is what we should focus on, what this is being trained off of, because it's going to happen. We're about to be diluted. Again, I do want to say one more thing, my brother, and then I'll let you go. There's something that I keep seeing. The Living Wage for Musicians Act, where basically I believe that a lot of congressmen and stuff are fighting for, and what the act is about is bringing the stream of a song to at least 1 cent. At least, just a penny. Granted, I know Spotify looks at that. I know all the platforms look at that and go, bro, we'll be out of business if we do that. I understand that from a business standpoint, but we gotta do something, because this is not, I'm not gonna lie, this is not fair.
Ridiculous.
It's the only reason I haven't sold the rest of my catalog yet, because I do believe and have hope that one day something is going to come back around where people streaming my music is going to be worth more than what it is right now. So everybody that sold their catalog, I always say to myself, man, if something comes back around and stream with a penny, everybody that sold their catalog, I'm like, bro, your catalog is booming. So that's why I've been holding out, because I still have hope. That's all I have.
With that being said, Zaire, what's up, man?
Zaire, you got work. Yeah, I got work.
All right, hear me clearly. I genuinely do not believe there is an amount of money, a percentage, a piece, a whatever that I would, or I think we as a community should accept, to allow any company to train their AI, their generative systems or whatever off of our work.
Absolutely.
I believe that is extremely priceless, and I believe if we open up that can of worms, it does way more danger than it does than it helps. For Spotify, I like, for that streaming boom, the danger of the trade-off of giving the entire world access to our music
For $10, $12, $13,
regardless, and getting more eyes, and the trade-off of devaluing our music. I feel like we're seeing that again with the generative AI thing. And if I'm seeing conversations of, well, if Suno gives us a piece, then we're good. I don't know. I think we, with all due respect, should kill that, period. The only law or whatever, like, movement I see myself getting behind is whatever literally prevents this from being a bigger thing. I know it sounds very unlikely or very unrealistic, but I genuinely believe giving permission or taking a piece or whatever to allow this to continue to grow does not do more. It does not help us more than it hurts us in the end, because we're stripping from a actual, like, art standpoint, we're stripping our organic flaws, and we're stripping art of our organic flaws and human touch, of course, but from an actual living business, whatever wage standpoint, we're devaluing human creativity more in favor of this efficient, profit-driven output that, man, are we going to be the people to eat from it? Because now we allow our work to get trained on or whatever. You think, oh, nah, we could use it, we'll be good, yada yada. Nigga, who has the control?
Yeah.
Who has the catalog?
Yeah.
Can I be
Once they get their piece on it, the Sony, and you talking about a business that's been losing money.
That's true.
Like,
yo,
what? We're giving them an out.
Keep it a bean. Once in hypothetical, right? We're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Once labels figure it out,
Gang, fuck the label. Can I say something?
we are.
Can I say something else? Can I say something else?
What?
Yeah.
We thinking about Sony, Universal. We've been thinking about the big three. Cool.
Yeah, sure.
What about Spotify? The person who, like, the people that are swearing to us we're not making money, the labels are the ones eating from streaming, yada yada. What if they get the chance to create their own output? Remember, at one point, Spotify started the Spotify DJ that curates your music for you, and we don't know who's paying them off in the back end. What about, wasn't there like an AI podcast thing?
Yeah, there's a lot. That's like, actually a very
I
big.
wouldn't be surprised Spotify creating that. So now, what if Spotify gets the chance to generate music, and now they control the queue? So now when I listen to Devvon Terrell, more songs like Devvon Terrell, and it's a Spotify created thing that they don't got to pay us out for. The same people that's begging for more money. All right, we'll pay you 1 cent, but for every 1 cent you're making, the 3 songs come after us is us.
To which
So
it's scary, bro.
It's so.
I get it, yo. All right, maybe if you pay us for permission to train, get rid of it. If we can outlaw generative AI, I'd be
Which I was saying.
in music and art and all of that.
I
Like,
get
that's
that.
scary, dog.
As far as what it's training.
In video,
Yeah,
like, you
for
can
sure,
add
for sure.
3 seconds of
Videos.
video.
Hey. Video is getting real.
And it's dangerous.
because
Getting
because
real
because
good.
it's the same thing. Literally, point being, to just nutshell it to y'all. Generative AI, when it comes to people telling their own stories, which is 80% of what art is, it's not gonna fly. No matter how you put it, no matter how you try to say, oh, it's gonna improve our lives, autonomy is literally the opposite to human evolution. We, through our own experiences and what we feel, what we discover, is how we handcraft new experiences for all to experience.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like you're underestimating the actual, like, how good this shit is. I get you're saying, yo, it won't fly with auto. Bro, you have no idea how good this shit is at replicating our stories, because it's being taught our stories.
Right.
It's being taught our feelings. Gang, it would fuck you up if you saw a fully, like, what's stopping them from making an AI movie? And it being fire.
Did you see Black Mirror? Sorry to go way.
Oh,
off.
yeah.
You saw that?
I didn't see every episode.
When it was AI, it was generated. It was a wild concept that I said that might work.
You ever seen that Star Wars fake AI trailer?
Yes.
That everyone was like, yo, this is the one.
Yes.
And again, me as an editor, as someone that understands film, that understands the human emotion being portrayed into how we can sell this to audiences, I'm like, yeah, but for me specifically, I can spot the AI.
With all due respect, you don't matter though. They're not looking for you.
Exactly.
They're looking for my mother, my little brother.
Exactly.
And guess what? Our dollar is not worth more than theirs.
It's not.
With all due respect, like the biggest music consumers aren't.
Keep that in mind, y'all.
It's come on. It's the people going to work.
Exactly.
It's the people who like. I don't turn on the radio when I'm going to work. You know what I turn on? I turn on my Untitled. Shout out to Untitled, by the way.
Yeah.
No, it's not sponsored. When I'm on my commute anywhere, I'm listening to my unreleased. I'm not putting money like. And when I do listen to music, yeah, I'm a consumer, but my money is not worth as much as the person who doesn't have unreleased to listen to. Because when they're not listening to unreleased, guess what they're gonna be listening to? Drake, Kendrick, Taylor Swift, whatever, Sabrina Carpenter, and they're not spotting the difference.
Sure.
And if they're not spotting the difference, and no, you can't say because my mom brought me a video.
I'm hearing him.
Real shit. My mom brought me a video the other day, scared the hell out of me. She brought me a video of Donald Trump speaking Creole, saying some funny shit, and she was like, "Oh, he thinks he's gonna get us on his side." I was like, "Mom, that's not real."
Has that happened to you? Where you had to tell your mom or somebody like, "Hey, that's not real."
Absolutely,
for sure.
But now, do I find that as not every American has to do this. Do I find that as my responsibility to tell them, hey, that's not real?
But if nobody tells them it's not real, but that's what we're trying to tell you, Courtney. If nobody, Courtney. If nobody,
that's not the argument. That's not the argument. No, wait. I'm hearing.
If nobody tells them it's not real, then it's going to become accepted.
But the argument isn't to tell them if it's real or not. The argument is, should we tell them if it's real or not?
That's not the argument. The argument is, will it work? That's the. Is it not?
I'm staying quiet now. Here's what I say. Here I say is this. At the end, I think at the very end of the day, I think that there's more things that we agree about on AI as far as how we use it, as far as how we relate to it. I am a user of AI. No secret there. I use it in a bunch of different things in my life. We all do it.
We all do.
I think we're getting to a place now where it's going to, I think people are starting to see like, oh my gosh, how the whole thing is going to unfold on us. And so it gets scary. Here's what I say to wrap this up. Great conversation. Like, I think this is a great conversation to have. I appreciate us having a conversation. And what I want to say to everybody is, as far as how we go about this thing in the future and stuff like that, I think that we need to keep speaking about it. I personally do not have the answer at all. I know we threw a lot of things at y'all and we spoke about a lot of different variants and all this other stuff, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I speak for myself. I do not have the answer. I have no idea what is going to be the future. One thing I always try to pride myself on is to try and be ahead of things, to try to always prepare and to try to make sure I'm like, where are we going? How can I be on the other side of this and not be shot? That's where I stand right there as far as everything is concerned. But what I will say is what's important for us to do is to continue to have these conversations, and we're going to end on that.
You don't have the answer, Sway.
I am not Sway.
I've been doing this longer than you.
We're going to wrap on that. This is the My Studio Nerds Podcast.
Subscribe, become a member. Thank y'all for the support. And yeah, you don't have the answers. Shout out to Timbaland too. You're a genius, but you let us down, man.
Be real.